Greetings and salutations, everybody, and welcome to the companion video now every day on the John Campea Show. And by the way, I'm your host, John Campea. Every day on the John Campea Show and on Open Mic, we take live questions, but most of the time we run out of time before we can get to all the live questions. But I need you guys to know that when you send in a live question, it will get answered. If not live, then we do these companion videos to make sure we get caught up and your questions do get addressed. So, without wasting any time, let's dive right into it. And the first question that we're getting caught up on here today comes to us from Celia, who writes, I just got the death in Infinity War and I got spoil the end credit too, just because I asked how many end credits there are. What a bunch of jackass. Well, a couple things to keep in mind in here, Celia. Number one, just because you heard something doesn't mean that that something is true or real. So just keep that in mind, that there are I'm seeing a lot of people doing some spoiler posting, but because I've seen the movie, I know, oh, that spoiler post isn't real. That one is, but that one isn't. So, I mean, it's a 50-50 shot on if what you heard may be real or may not be real. So just keep that in mind too. The other thing is that it sounds to me, and maybe I'm misinterpreting your question, but it sounds to me like you asked about end credits, and it sounds like somebody was probably just too enthusiastic and said, oh, the end credits? Well, this happens in the end credits. And maybe they didn't mean to be jackasses, but it is unfortunate because even when things are spoiled as a result of well-meaning people, it's still spoiled and that really sucks. So I'm sorry that that happened to you. All right, let's move on here. Phil Lee writes, if Spider-Man isn't involved in the Venom origin, will he still have the big white spider on his chest? I don't think so, and I certainly don't think he should. But John, that's a break from the comic. Who cares? The comic books are the comic books. This is the movies. It doesn't matter. At least that's how I feel about it. The trailer looks great. The poster looks great. Here's the thing, though. It would raise more questions than answer questions if he ended up having the white Spider-Man thing on him. That wouldn't make any sense. I mean, I'm not going to say it wouldn't make any sense, but it just furthers the conundrums. Like, well, why is the white spider thing on him if there is no Spider-Man here? And by the way, we don't know 100% for sure that Tom Holland doesn't make an appearance in this. He may make an appearance, probably not, but he might. So let's not discount that at all. But if Tom Holland and Spider-Man does not make an appearance in the movie, I would say they probably shouldn't have the white spider on there because that just, again, it just raises more questions than answers questions. So probably just as well. And by looking at the way they're using him and the design of him, it feels like it doesn't need to have the white spider on him anyway. So I would say no. I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to guess no. Ben Rayner writes, 50 hours to go for me and the countdown continues till everybody gets to see it's tomorrow night. Well, actually, it's tonight because this is going to air. I'm recording this, little inside secret. I'm recording this late Wednesday night. So this is going to air. This episode of the companion video is going to air on Thursday morning. So you're watching this Thursday morning. Tonight is when Infinity War starts playing everywhere. And again, you know, not my favorite MCU movie. Not even in my top 3. It is in my top 5. Not in my top 3. And which is still very, very solid. The best thing about this movie, though, is Thanos. Best thing about this movie is Thanos. It's just such an amazing villain. So well, such a great character. Anyway, I'm excited you're going to get to see it. All right, Stephen Foley writes, hey, John, I just rewatched Justice League, and I might be alone, but I think this bad movie has great heart. And I love Lucifer. Well, yeah, Lucifer's amazing. But getting to Justice League, I wouldn't call it a bad movie. I like Justice League. Did it have its problems? Yes. But I liked the movie. Sorry, I just did. Was Steppenwolf a bad villain? Yes. Did he look really rough? Yes. Are there different things they should have done? Yes. But at the end of the day, the character interaction between the characters, the action stuff, I think it all kind of a mess to still make a very entertaining package. I mean, I saw it like 7 times in theater, so clearly I was entertained by it. So I wouldn't even call it a bad movie. How much heart it has, I'm not sure. Everybody defines that a little bit differently. So how much heart you could say the movie has, I'm not really sure. But I found it to be an entertaining movie. So maybe you and I are in the minority, but I still like Justice League. I know a lot of people don't, and that's cool. I'm not going to try to change anybody's mind. I'm just saying I like Justice League. Rohit Mukundan writes, Avengers 4 Let me try that again. Avengers 4, Infinity War Part 2, Dom kills the MCU. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, there's this kind of Elseworlds comic thing called Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe or something like that. And clearly the only person who could really do that is Dominic Toretto. So very good observation there, Rohit. Murray for us writes, when Avengers 4 and Star Wars 9 comes out, Disney should have the review embargo lifted on Thursday when everybody sees it. Then there would be less trolls. Everyone is going to see the film no matter what. No, you're wrong, Murray. This is the thing. Whenever people say to me, oh, the reviews don't matter, everybody's going to go see it anyway. No, you're wrong. The studios have done studies and studies and studies of this, and they always come to the same thing. Now, what one studio rep told me, this is going back a while, but it's still true today, is that, the critic reviews make a big difference. Upwards of 10%, sometimes even more, but 10% swing either way. So that means, let's say you have a baseline $200 million movie, which is super rare. Let's go $100 million movie. You got a baseline $100 million opening weekend movie. Really positive reviews, their studies say, will take that up to 110, 115, okay, depending. Bad reviews take it down to about 90. So you've got a $20 or $25 million swing on opening weekend. So I'm sorry, I know it's popular to say, oh, the reviews don't matter. Yeah, they do. Empirically, objectively, quantifiably, factually, they matter. If they didn't, the studios would do things totally different, but they have done study after study on this, and they know, yep, the reviews really do matter, a hell of a lot. Because you know what? Maybe Infinity War makes $200 million opening weekend, right? Well, it's going to make more than that, but for argument's sake, with really positive reviews, that 10% swing, that takes it up to 220 or a little bit more. Don't think for a second the studios don't care about 20 million extra dollars. They do. No, you can't have, you can't have the review embargo lift the day the movie comes out. That negates any positive influence that reviews will have. Plus, it's a breach of faith with the audience. The audience, just like, look, you wouldn't buy a car without reading reviews. You wouldn't buy a new computer without reading reviews. You read reviews to know if you want to invest your time and money in something. To not give the audience that opportunity is a breach of trust. The key is not by having a later review embargo. The key is by more strictly enforcing, with critics. I mean, like giving away spoilers and things like that. And by the way, what we're really talking about here is one group, and that was Forbes. And it wasn't even in their review. It wasn't their review. They just put up an article that said, here's all the spoilers from Infinity War. And they listed all the spoilers. It wasn't even in the review. The review came later. So having a later review embargo wouldn't have fixed that problem either. So the review was not the issue. I mean, another thing you might want to go on, like all the stuff that started spreading on Reddit even before, like Forbes or things that spread on Reddit when it's with other movies, that doesn't come from film critics. That comes from general audiences who get to go see it early. If it really becomes a problem, maybe you need to start limiting the amount, and I'm not saying they should do this, I'm just saying if it really gets so bad, then the first thing you should probably look at doing is limiting the amount of non-professional film critics and film reporters that get to see it, because they, like average movie-going audiences, are more likely than to hop on Twitter on Reddit and say, hey guys, I just saw this movie, here's what I saw, It's not the film critics that do that because they generally don't have to. And by the way, the guy, the jackass over at Forbes who wrote the article giving away all the spoilers wasn't even one of their film critics. It wasn't one of their film critics that did that. And Forbes, just for whatever reason, let it go up and let it stay up until everybody made enough of a stink about it. But anyway, no, pushing review embargoes further is just damaging. That's just damaging. It makes no sense whatsoever. So no, that's not what they should do. Murray for us writes, awesome first season of Black Lightning. You're damn right it was. I think Tobias is a great villain. You're damn right he is. Black Lightning needs a better suit, though. You're damn right he does. I agree on all 3 points, Murray. Black Lightning Season 1 was very impressive. It was a very big, pleasant surprise for me because, like a lot of other CW shows, I wasn't expecting much out of it. And then I thoroughly enjoyed it. And one of the big reasons I enjoy Black Lightning so much is Tobias Whale, the main villain of the show. He is a great... I could watch an hour Give me an episode where it's just an hour of him sitting at his table talking to somebody, and I'll be thoroughly entertained. That dude can talk. I mean, man, that dude can talk. And I'm embarrassed I can't remember the name of the actor who plays him, but the actor kills it. He's a great villain. And one of the reasons why, and yes, damn, they need to change that Black Lightning suit. It's a terrible, terrible suit, but whatever. Changing the suit wouldn't make the show better or worse. It's just would give me one less eyesore to look at, because that Black Lightning costume is really bad. Carlos Rojas writes, "Hey, John. I managed to get the last 2 seats for the first showtime for Infinity War tomorrow. I'm so excited. Also love the show." Well, thank you so much, Carlos, and good on you. Hey, getting seats for opening night for Infinity War, not easy. Not easy at all. So the fact that you were able to get your hands on them is fantastic. Congrats. And thank you so much for commenting on the show, and I hope you love the movie. I really hope you have a good time. Leader of Bats writes, "A little off topic, but who is your favorite young artist recently? Mine has been Kygo. I don't know if you have heard of him. He's super unique and recently changed his style." I'm just going to be honest with you, Leader of Bats. I don't even know what it is we're talking about. Favorite young artist, like an impressionist artist? Painting, sculptor, music, acting, miming. I have no idea what we're talking about, and I've never heard of Kygo. So I can't even begin to address your question. Sorry about that, man. You gotta be a little bit more specific. Or maybe I should just be less out of touch with other things other than movies. Tina Swado writes, "I hope the situation that kept you from Vegas isn't bad." Well, it's not great, but it's okay. It's nothing tragic. It's nothing tragic. So as many of you know, I was supposed to be in Las Vegas this week for CinemaCon. All these great reports we're hearing coming out of CinemaCon, I was supposed to be there. Had my room booked. I had my CinemaCon passes all waiting for me. Had my flight reserved. And the morning I was supposed to leave, something came up. Again, not tragic, but it precluded me from being able to go. And I could have gone today. I could have left today. But by that point, I would have already missed the Sony presentation. I would have missed the Disney presentation. I would have missed several of the big other panels and functions that they were doing. The big party I really wanted to go to was already done. So then I was thinking, okay, do I want to travel all the way out there, just be there for a day and a half or day or two, and I've already missed the key things. So I was like, nah. So thank you for asking about it, Tennis Flato. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, it wasn't something great, but nothing tragic, nothing horrible, and nothing long-lasting. It was just one of those frustrating things. Oh, that means I can't go. And then I ended up having to be here. But that's okay, because I get to do the show here. It was going to be tricky doing all the shows from Las Vegas. It was going to be tricky. So, I mean, one of the advantages is I'm still in my studio this week. That's great. My brand new studio, by the way. So it's all good. It's all fine. But thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Lawrence RBE writes, "After watching Infinity War, do you think it will hit 2 billion or will it lead the way for Avengers 4 to hit 2 billion? I think it'll hit 2 billion. I think it'll hit 2 billion. At least it'll get close. Like, don't get me wrong. Titanic, not in any danger. Avatar, not in any danger. Their worldwide records are not in any trouble whatsoever. But 2 billion, I think it's going to get close to 2 billion. I think it'll beat Black Panther. I think it'll beat Jurassic World. But 2 billion, I think it's going to be close. It's going to be close. I do think it can hit 2 billion. Okay, Starman writes, "Thoughts on the Channel Awesome situation? To be honest with you, all I know, frankly, I don't like making commentary on other channels. That's not what I'm here to do, really. Sometimes I let some slip out, and I really shouldn't. I don't. But I can honestly tell you, other than the fact that I know that there's a situation at Channel Awesome, I'm not well enough versed in it to offer an opinion. And I certainly don't personally know the people involved there. So, and again, I want my channel to talk about movies, not talk about the other channels that are talking about movies. You know what I mean? Other people can do that, schoolyard, prissy bullshit if they want. I'm not here to talk about other channels. I'm here to talk about the movies. I'm not here to talk about other pundits. And I admit, hey, I have erroneously got caught up in that shit before. And that's not what I want to be. So I with all due respect, Sarman, and I totally understandable that you're asking the question, totally fair question. But since I'm not even in a position to give a legit opinion, because I'm not really well versed on all this stuff, I just know there's some crap going on and everything, but I'm not well versed on it. And even if I was, I probably wouldn't want to comment on it because I don't want to become one of those YouTubers that spends their time pissing and moaning about other YouTubers. You know, that's just not what I want to do. So I'm going to avoid commenting on it, mostly though because I'm just not qualified to comment on it. I haven't been keeping up with it because it doesn't really concern me and I'm not paying too close attention to it. But fair enough question. Nope, not a bad on you for asking. Just if you don't mind, I'm going to take a pass on answering it. Angie V writes, John, I would love Game of Thrones return and reviews. Oh, rerun and reviews. Many will as well. But see, I'm not so sure about that. See, for those who know what Angie's talking about, I've been mentioning the last couple of days that I have, for a couple of years, I've brought up the idea before at the last place I worked. I had this idea about what if we go back to season 1 episode of Game of Thrones and do recaps and reviews and commentary on all of them leading up until the new season starts, right? We never got around to doing it at the last place I worked, and I was thinking about it, but the reality is me and Ann and Kaori, we did something like that with Firefly. We did something like that with Firefly, and really nobody watched them. Nobody watched the recap stuff we did for that. I mean, it sounds like a good idea, but really nobody watched it when we did it. So will they watch it for Game of Thrones? I doubt it. Not that I doubt it, but I have my doubts. But I'm still considering it, so thanks for giving me your input on that, Angie. I appreciate that. Let's see. Kevin Brown writes, can you ever envision a time where studios may offer viewings of trailers early online or in theaters for just a couple of bucks? Would you ever pay to see a trailer earlier than everyone else? No. I'm not going to pay to see marketing. Are you kidding? I'm not going to pay to watch a commercial. No, not a chance. Like, hey, did you hear that Crest toothpaste has got a new hot ad coming out? You give me $5, I'll let you watch their commercial early. No, because ultimately that's what trailers are. They're commercials. I would never pay money to see a trailer early. I don't care if it's Star Wars. I'm not paying money to see a trailer early. I'm excited to see the marketing, yeah, but I'm not going to give you money to watch. If it's marketing, you should be paying me to watch your ads. That's the way marketing's supposed to work. I'm not supposed to pay to watch ads. So, hey, look, with the way everything's going, Kevin, that's a totally fair question to ask. But my answer to that question, as is probably the same answer you would give yourself, is no fucking way. No way am I paying money to watch a trailer. Are you kidding me? No. Okay. Next one comes to us from Smile X Dylan, who writes, hey, John, what are some of your favorite 80s horror flicks? Well, I mean, clearly, you know, my all-time favorite horror film is an 80s horror flick. It's American Werewolf in London. That is my all-time favorite horror film. It's an 80s one. Then you're talking about some of the classic ones. You're talking about The Fly. I love The Fly. You're talking about Lost Boys. I love Lost Boys. You're talking about The Thing. You're talking about Poltergeist. Those are the ones that really stand out to me as my favorites out of that era. ZOMG Ruler writes, John, do you know Scott Mendelson? I don't know Scott personally. I've met Scott. Scott and I have met each other a couple times. He's from Forbes. And this is one of the unfortunate things. Because of the jackhole that wrote that article on Forbes, and whatever jackholes at Forbes who allowed that article to stay up and online for half a day, without ever thinking, oh no, that article's fine, we can let spoilers disseminate, we're not going to pull it down, and then half a day later. And people started making excuses for Forbes. Well, maybe they just didn't realize it. That's bullshit. Because when I ran AMC Theaters, nothing got posted that I wasn't aware of. Nothing got posted that I was not aware of, and I didn't give a quick preview to within 15 minutes of it being online to make sure it met our standards of quality. You got something that's even bigger like Forbes, they should have multiple editorial processes to monitor that shit. So yes, they do. And it wasn't just the guy who posted it, somebody was okay with it staying up. But anyway, Unfortunately, guys like Scott Mendelson and Mark Hughes got a lot of the blowback on that because they're the movie guys over at Forbes. They're not the ones who posted that stupid thing. They're not the ones who posted that thing. It was this other jackhole. It wasn't Scott and it wasn't Mark. It wasn't them. It was not their fault. And I can pretty much guarantee you, if either of those guys had the access to do it, they would have pulled it down. I guarantee you that. They would have pulled it down. So through all this, I felt bad for both Scott and Mark because this wasn't their fault, but guilt by association, by life. So a lot of people think Forbes, well, that Scott guy's as a movie guy at Forbes, or that Mark guy's a movie guy at Forbes, and they started getting the hate for it. It wasn't either of them. It was this other jackhole. So, yes, but to answer the question straight up, I don't really know Scott Mendelson. Like I said, we've met a couple of times, I believe, but I don't really know him. I'm aware of his work, but I don't really know him. Connor Etchels writes, seeing Infinity War in 2 hours in London, oh my God, I can see the excitement coming through your text message. That's awesome. It is, I just love, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you here. I even loved it when new Twilight movies, don't laugh. I even loved it when new Twilight movies came out. Why? Because I was excited to see them? No. But just because I love seeing people excited. There's just something good for the soul. It's one of the reasons why I do love being at Comic-Con. There's something about being at Comic-Con. I say this every year to people who are there with me. When you're walking around the streets, these packed streets in San Diego for Comic-Con, and everybody's smiling, and everybody's laughing, and everybody's having a good time, and you see strangers asking other strangers, can we take pictures together? And you see strangers high-fiving other strangers. And you see all these people excited and happy. Something is just good for the human soul to be around that. Like I could honestly go to Comic-Con and not even step inside the convention center and just be happy to be there because there's something good for the soul. Being around that type of positive energy, where everybody's just happy. Everybody's been planning to come to this all year, and now everybody's here, and everybody's thrilled and happy. There's something good about that. And then when we get these big movies coming out, whether they're big movies that are geared towards me, or even big movies geared towards other people, like say the Twilight franchise, right? I would love it. So I'd go to a premiere, like the studios would invite me to go to the premiere of Twilight, and seeing all these fans so excited. The movie wasn't for me. I couldn't give two squirts of piss over it, but there's just something great about seeing people excited and like the purest, best form of fandom coming out, just a pure excitement. We're about to see this thing that we love. And I love that. And that's why when an Infinity War comes out too, like I'm reading your message here, Connor, and you're like, I can just feel the energy coming off your text message. Seeing Infinity War in 2 hours, oh my God! Like there's just something great about that. It makes me happy. It makes me happy to be a film fan. So I'm excited for you, man. That's great. Okay. No Name Whatchamacallit. That's a great username. No Name Whatchamacallit writes, hey, John, greetings from Poland. I just watched Infinity War and I loved the movie, even though I am physically and emotionally drained. Yeah, I mean, look, seriously, it's a draining movie. You will be spent by the time it's done. And there's some good about that. There's some negative about that. I mean, like I said in my non-spoiler review, to me, sometimes there's a little bit too much going on in the movie, and you can feel the weight of there being so many characters. It's a little convoluted because of how many characters there are. Overall, still an exhilarating ride, but yes, even as a result of that stuff, at the end of it, you are going to be exhausted. You're just going to feel spent, and make sure you stay for the end credits. Make sure you stay for the end credits. Okay, C-Spice writes, hey, John, you're doing great with the show. Thank you so much, C-Spice. I appreciate that. Thanks for sticking up for film fans with the Forbes thing. I've been having a rough time, and your show helps a lot. No questions, just sending some love. Oh, thank you so much, C-Spice. I appreciate that. And this is one of the great things about movies. One of the best things about movies, man, is like, no matter what's going on in your life, you can check out for a minute and just watch a movie. And just for a moment, help your perception and your perspective on life change a little bit. Have something put a smile on your face when maybe you haven't had one in a couple of days. And hopefully the film fan community can be there to help facilitate that as well. So thank you for sharing that, C-Spice, and thanks a lot for being here and being part of our film fan community. That's awesome. All right, next one. Devontae Brown writes, Was Avengers' main theme used perfectly or no? I don't know. Like, the Avengers theme is the Avengers theme. Hit play and play. It was used well. I mean, I don't know how to answer that question. Was it used perfectly? I don't know what it is you're talking about specifically. The Avengers theme is the Avengers theme. Did they play it in good parts? Yeah, they played it in good parts. I mean, I honestly, beyond that, Devontae, I don't really know how to respond to that. But I'll just say, sure, they use it perfectly. Why not? I'll just go with that. Samantha Elliott writes, opening day, 12 hours from now, tickets at the BFI IMAX here in London, largest screen in the UK. I've had more and more people tell me about that. They say it's just like incredibly huge. Central seats, 2/3 back, cannot wait. And it's great, Samantha, just like we were talking about with Connor's message. It's great to just see that enthusiasm, that excitement. Tonight, people are going to see it all over North America and mostly around the world. Everybody's going to have a chance to see it by now. And it's just so exciting. So I'm really glad you got those. Those are some pretty choice seats that you got there. Damian Jenkins. Any relation to Leroy? Anyway, if this movie doesn't make your top 3 MCU movies, what's in your top 3? That's a topic for another time. I mean, what I can clearly say is the first Avengers is top 3. Civil War is top 3. Then probably for me, but you got to remember, this is unique to me because I appreciate this movie more than anybody else does. It's probably the first Thor. To me, the first Thor is an underappreciated masterpiece of the genre. Like, it and Man of Steel, I think, are like the most tragically underrated comic book movies ever. And if not Thor, then probably Winter Soldier. It would be up there too. So I would put Infinity War in my top 5. And when you consider how great these 19 MCU movies have been, top 5 is fantastic. I would put it in my top 5. But no, not in my top 3. I'm not even positive it'd be in my top 4. But in my top 5, absolutely would be. Iggy is Horrible writes, Prime has 7.1 sound with bass shakers, jumbo screen. Dolby has that Atmos object sound, bass shakers, and dual projectors. Mine has both on separate. Prime, which by the way, most Prime theaters are a Dolby system. But anyway, Prime has 7.1 sound. Well, every Prime I've been into has Dolby Atmos. So I'm not sure. Anyway, Prime is 7.1 with bass shakers, jumbo screen. Dolby has the Atmos object sound, bass shakers, and dual projectors. Mine has both on separate. I'm not really clear on what it is you're trying to say here, Iggy. So maybe fire me off an email. Maybe you can clarify a little bit what it is you're trying to say and what it is you're trying to ask there, because I'm not interpreting it right. Maybe it's just my head's too jarbled right now. Stu Padasso writes, my movie theater kind of sucks ass. I'm having to drive to Dallas, Texas to see Avengers, a good 100 miles. What is your worst experience in a theater? Well, I mean, it all depends on what you mean by worst experience in a theater. Nice. Worst experience because of something other people were doing. Worst experience because it's just the worst theater I was in. I'm not really sure. Now, I've told this before. I mean, my worst experience was watching the number 13 or whatever the Jim Carrey one. It's either called the number 13 or the number 23. It's one of the two. And we had this gaggle of demons spawned from hell, teenage, just horrible asshole girls sitting behind us. They were just like the whole fucking movie. And that was the worst experience I've ever had in a theater. Now, as far as worst movie theater I've ever been in, I don't know. I'd have to think about that one, depending on what it is you're asking. But I remember once for the Phantom Menace, I drove like 1,500 miles so I could go to my hometown and watch the Phantom Menace at my favorite movie theater. That's how dedicated I was to that and how important it was to watch a new Star Wars movie at my favorite movie theater. Okay, just 2 questions left here. Marcus Lillenberg writes, just saw Avengers Infinity War and wow, I think you mean it, was awesome. Yeah, and you know what? I think a lot of people are going to love this movie. Some people are going to like it. Some people aren't going to like it all that much. But I think an awful lot of people are going to completely love this movie. So I'm glad you're one of them, Marcus. All right. And the final question that gets us all caught up comes to us from Boy Chow Sang, who writes, Does Infinity War take the best movie crown amongst the movies with the most crowded casts? Or do you have other movies with crowded casts that you prefer? Well, what do you mean by crowded casts? That's like saying, which movie is the best movie that starts with a W, ends in a Q, opened on a Wednesday, and had its debut in Germany? Like, it's like, what do you mean by crowded casts? Like, as far as just pure cast go, lots of movies has just as many cast members as Avengers Infinity War does. They don't happen to have as many characters that we know and recognize as other films do, or as Avengers Infinity War does. That's clear. But it's like you're asking me a question. Like, I can't really, other than that John Wayne movie from the 1940s, I can't even really think of another film that has crammed like sardines this many characters into a film. So in many ways, you're asking me, does this movie that's kind of alone in its own category, is it the best of that category? So sure, it's the best movie crown amongst movies that have the most crowded cast because it's the only movie that really is like it. I mean, no other movie has had that many characters that we all know and recognize their characters, and they're all supposed to play a role in the film, and you just cram them like sardines. And by the way, it does feel overcrowded. The movie does feel overcrowded a bit, but no other film has ever really done that. So sure, but that's not saying anything because there's no other movie to really compare it to, per se. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that will do it for me, guys, for this installment of the companion video, getting you all caught up on the questions you guys sent in. Now, guys, don't forget, on Sunday, well, let me back it up. My review of Avengers Infinity War is now up and online. It's on the front page of my YouTube channel. Go and check it out. Get my review there. But the spoiler review, which is going to be 2 hours long of us all just sitting around talking openly about all the stuff that we saw, the good and the bad, in Avengers Infinity War, is Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 5 p.m. East Coast time. Make sure you guys mark that off in your calendar. Make sure you're here joining us, because it's not just going to be me doing it. It's going to be a young lady who's going to have seen the movie 3 times by the time Sunday comes around, and that is my wife, Ann Campia, is going to be sitting right here beside me doing the spoiler review, and we're all just going to talk about the movie openly for 2 hours. And I'm so excited about that. So you guys get out there, watch that movie. And by the way, don't forget to jump on the Stardust app. By the way, download the Stardust app. Make me the first person you follow. Follow me at John Campia on the Stardust app. And then when you see Infinity War, make sure you give your quick 30-second reaction and review to the movie and tag me on it. And then maybe you'll see your review and your reaction to the movie on that spoiler review on Sunday. Okay, guys, that will do it for me. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campia, and until my next video, bye-bye.